Hello pregnant parents, welcome to a prenatal yoga video with me, Ariella. I am so glad that you are joining me today, and I am so thankful that you are letting me be a part of your pregnancy journey. For this class, it's going to be a nice, gentle class. We are going to be moving around a little bit. It is not as intense as some other yoga classes that are not intended for pregnant people. But take this class as you need. Listen to your body, listen to your baby. There's absolutely no reason to push yourself. If you are new to yoga, you may want to watch this video first and then do it after, and then do the class afterward, just so you kind of have an idea of what to expect. If you have yoga props at home, that's awesome. If you don't, that's okay. The things that I will say to get, if you can, are bolsters, blocks, or bolsters and blocks. And if you don't have those things, lots of pillows, lots of blankets. If you have something like a yoga block, maybe it's a really thick textbook, or it's a toy container, or baskets, or whatever you can use to kind of bring the ground up a little bit higher for you in case that you need it. But I would say get whatever you need to make yourself comfortable. It should be a comfortable practice. You should not feel, if you're feeling any pain or any discomfort, you should stop. And I would not be doing my due diligence if I said, please check in with your doctor or your midwife or just your care provider to make sure that you are cleared for any kind of exercise. So with that said, as I say in all of my classes, take what you need, leave what you don't. Everything I say is a suggestion, and I am just your guide. Your body is your teacher, and in this case, your baby is your teacher too. So, just take what you need, and hopefully you enjoy this time to yourself. Maybe you've got other kids running around, and maybe you're a first-time parent, and whichever, it's really exciting and really amazing. And so we're going to get started by coming into an easy seated position. So if you can lift your body up a little bit, that would be great. So if you have a bolster, you can use a bolster. If you have a few thick pillows and a few thick blankets, maybe you get the couch cushions, whatever you need to kind of lift your body up. What this does is it adds a little bit of space between your hips and your growing belly. A little bit about me. I have a 4-year-old at home, so it's been some time since I've been pregnant, but I definitely remember what it was like to feel really, really constricted. So come into that comfortable position. If you want, you can bring put a blanket or so underneath your feet. If it feels comfortable to sit in a cross-legged position, you can do that. You can also bring your legs out straight. So just however this feels comfortable. And this little bit of a warm-up can actually be done seated. So if you're finding that sitting on the floor is just not working for you, you can sit on the couch or on a bed or even in a comfortable chair. So come to that comfortable seat and just start to take some big, deep breaths. Sit up nice and tall, shoulders away from the ears. And maybe you bring one hand to your chest and one hand to your belly. You can think about your baby, think about how you're feeling. And start to slow down your breathing. If you feel like your breathing is a little bit quick, see if you can slow down those exhales. As part of your practice, to set an intention, it's a thought or an idea to focus on or work towards, I invite you to do so. And wherever you are, take a big deep breath in through your nose and sigh out your mouth. nice and slow. Do that one more time. And exhale. Nice and slow. And flutter open your eyes. You bring your hands down to your knees if that feels comfortable, and we'll take some big deep breaths together. So inhale, arms come up overhead. Reach nice and tall, creating lots of space for baby. And then exhale, bring it down. Inhale, reach it up nice and tall. Exhale, bring it down. Inhale. Exhale. Now we're going to prepare for a twist, which may be difficult or easy depending on where you are in your pregnancy. So bring your arms up nice and tall, and then cross your right arm, your left arm, over your body, coming to your right knee. So now wherever you are is great. If you're early in your pregnancy and you can twist, you can. Twists are safe during pregnancy. It is a myth that they're not. If you're later in your pregnancy and you can't twist, that's okay. Just take it wherever you can. So maybe your hand is on your thigh, maybe you bring it to your knee, bring your hands, your other hand behind your back, and just twist a little bit. Nice and gentle. And then inhale, reach up nice and tall. Exhale, cross your right hand over your body, coming to your left side, and then take this twist wherever you can, inhaling, lengthening, and then exhaling on your twist. So maybe your twist looks more like this. Maybe it looks more like this. You can always bring your hand, instead of bringing it across, you can always bring it to the other knee and just turn your body. We're just warming up the spine, moving it in all directions. And come back to center. And we're going to do that again. Inhale, lift nice and tall. Then you can twist again. Inhale, arms come up. Exhale to the other side. Inhale. Exhale. We're just moving nice and gently. No need to rush. Come back up to center. Inhale, reach up nice and tall, creating that length. And now we're going to bring our right hand down to the mat. So maybe your fingertips touch. If you have short arms and you're up nice and tall, maybe you bring a block here if you need. And this way you can get your hand all the way down. And then reach. So if you have, maybe you need to bend a little bit. So you can see where you are. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to open up the side body, lengthening through here, creating lots of space. Keep that hip grounded down to the blankets, bolsters, whatever you've got, and then come back up to the side. Inhale, arms reaching up nice and tall. Exhale, bring the left arm down. Again, you can bring your fingertips down, your hands. It all depends on the length, how tall, how high you're seated, and how long your arms are. And what we're doing is we're lifting up through the armpit instead of the hands. So don't reach with your hands, lift with your armpit. And then open up the shoulders, draw them back. And this counteracts a lot of the just daily stuff that we're doing, whether on a computer if you're still working, or on maybe on your phone. If you're starting to feel a little bit hunched over, and release. Nice and slow. Inhale, we're going to take a little bit of a flow side to side. Right hand down, left arm over. Inhale, reach. Exhale, bend to the left. more time, one more round wherever you are. Just do that last side. Coming back up to center. And then release nice and slow. Awesome. So now we're going to come onto our hands and knees. So you come off of your bolster. You can keep it to the side in case you need it. Now if you need a little bit more cushioning underneath your knees, so you can always grab a blanket. I would suggest a blanket as opposed to anything thicker, because too much thickness can lift you up a little bit too much, and that kind of sets off your alignment in a way that might not be comfortable. So a nice firm blanket or thin fleece blanket should be good. So we're going to come into tabletop. So there are a couple of options here. If you need to, you can keep your knees out a little bit wider to make space for baby. That's okay. If you also need to make space for your chest, you can open up your hands so that they're a little bit wider than your shoulder over your wrist. Something else that you can do, you can bring your hands a little bit forward of your shoulders so you can see what the alignment feels most comfortable. If you're having carpal tunnel issues that are really common in pregnancy, you can always come up onto your wrists, or you can come down to your forearms. You can come down to your forearms, you can come onto blocks if you'd like, or a bolster. If you have, instead of blocks, you have a bolster. So whichever, if you want to stay off of your wrist. So that's an option too. So just take a moment to figure out where you are and what your alignment is. So wherever you are, we're going to take a few rounds of cat and cow. So on your inhale, lower your belly, tailbone to the sky, chest is open, and maybe just stay here for a second and feel the openness in your chest. I should mention, if you have a risk of your baby flipping, breech, you may not want to do something like this. I would speak to your provider about any postures, yoga postures that may not be good for the positioning of your baby. And when you're ready, tuck your tailbone, round your spine, coming into cat. Just hang out here for a second. Come back into cow. And then slowly start to flow between the two. So inhaling, looking up. Exhaling, tucking. And this really works with the way our lungs and our diaphragm are built. So it may make it easier for you to breathe. And release back down to a neutral tabletop. So from here, we're going to take our hands. We're going to leave our hips over our knees. We're going to extend our hands out, and we're going to come into puppy. So you might need to open up your knees a little bit and bring your head down in between your elbows. You can bring your head to a block here, a blanket, or a bolster. If you need to, you can always bring your forearms down. This is a nice, gentle, back bend. Doesn't look like a back bend, but it is. And slowly come up nice and slow. Walk your hands out. We're going to stretch out our hips a little bit. So to start, we're going to extend our right foot, tucking our back toes. And then taking your right foot, using some nice hip rotation. bring your foot in between like your hip and your hand, so it's not completely in line with your knee, with your other knee. It is a little bit in front. So we're going to do something called juicy hips. So again, figure out where your hands are. If you want to come up on your, if you want to come up onto your fist, you can do that too. But here, we're just going to slowly move back and forth. You can do some circles here. See how it feels. If you feel like you need to lift your body up a little bit more, you can use blocks or bolster or whatever you're using in place of those. But just start to move around a little bit. Add some movement. During pregnancy, we have a lot of relaxin in our joints so that our joints move and shift to make room for baby. And that may cause you to be a little bit hypermobile. So that's something to keep in mind. It would be very easy to kind of take it beyond what you know is your general limit. So don't take it past what you know is your limit. Just because you are a little bit more flexible doesn't mean you really are a little bit more flexible. And then when you're done, come back to a neutral position, swing that leg over. You can do a couple of hip circles here. Move that hip around, side to side. And we'll take the other side. So I'm going to stay with my hands up on the blocks. It's nice and comfortable for me. So extend that left leg now. And then bring that left foot around so it's just behind. It's off the mat, but just behind your left hand. And then we're going to slowly start to move back and forth, bending. I'm moving to straighten that, not completely straighten, but just moving that hip. You can do some hip circles here. So this is one of those things where you can kind of see what feels good in your body, what movement feels good. Maybe you stay in a particular spot. When you're ready to come back to your neutral tabletop. Bring that leg around, maybe do some hip circles here, see how you feel, see how baby feels. And we're going to come up to standing, and to do that, we're going to tuck our toes. We're going to bring our knees out a little bit so that they're pointing toward the sides of the mat. We're going to start by coming up to a squat. So if you have blocks, start to use them, or a pillow or anything else that you have. Start to move them back towards you. Then, lifting your knees, bringing your weight up, you can open up, coming into a nice wide squat or malasana. You can use your blocks here. If you need something, if you need to sit on something, you can use a bolster. You can be near the wall. And then when you're ready, we're going to bring those heels down and then slowly come up. Awesome. So, and then from here, I'm going to move my blanket out of the way. And we're going to do a standing sun salutation. So you can come to the top of your blanket, wherever you feel like you might have a little bit more stability. So if you want to come and move your blankets to the side so that it is like my blanket, my mat, and move your mat so that it's facing whatever device that you're using. You can do that wherever you feel like you're not going to slip. So if you're on a carpet and you're not going to slip if your feet are off the mat, then that's perfect. You just want to make sure that you're just stable. So start by bringing your feet to a nice wide-legged position. Your feet are going to be in a about 45-ish degree angle. We're going to come into a wide squat called Goddess. So you want to be prepared to come into that. And so wherever you are, if you feel like you need a little bit of balance, if you feel like your balance is off today because all the weight is shifting you forward and you're carrying everything a little bit differently, you can grab a chair, you can sit up near a wall, you can sit up near your bed, whatever you need to have something to keep you more stable. So to start, we're going to feel nice and rooted, tailbone neutral, shoulders up and back. This is creating space here. You're starting to feel really scrunched up, like your stomach is all the way up in your throat. I remember that feeling. This is creating space, sitting tall, standing tall. So we're going to take a big inhale. And then on our exhale, we're going to open up our arms. So open up your chest, shoulders coming back, hands reaching for the sides of the room or wherever you are to lock your knees. Keep them nice and soft. And then inhale, bring the arms up nice and straight and tall. On your exhale, we're going to tip over to the right like we did before with our side bends. Inhale, back up to center, lengthening. Exhale, tip over to the left like we did before. Inhale, back up to center, and now cactus out your arms so that they're like goalposts, and then lift up your chest. If you can take a little bit of a back bend here, go ahead. Lifting up your chest before we inhale back up to center. So we're inhaling as we lengthen through our spine. And then on your exhale, bend your knees, circle your arms out nice and wide, coming into Goddess. Yeah, you might find that this is where you're going to adjust your feet. Hold it just for a couple of breaths. We'll be moving through this much more quickly on all of our other rounds. And then inhale, straighten those knees. Exhale, open them back up to Goddess. Inhale, nice and long. Exhale, tip over to the side. Back up, nice and long. Tip over to the left. Inhale, nice and long. Exhale, cactus out your arms, reaching up to the sky. Inhale. Exhale, bring your arms around nice and big. Goddess. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, open up. Reach up nice and tall. Bend over to the right. Reach up nice and tall. Over to the left. Reach up nice and tall. Back bend. Reach up nice and tall. Coming down to Goddess. We're going to do that one more time. Straighten through the legs. Exhale, reach out. Inhale, straighten up. Reaching for the sky. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. One more time into Goddess. Inhale, nice and slow. Exhale. And you can heel toe your feet back to a comfortable position. You can do a couple of hip circles here, whatever you need to do to feel comfortable. Beautiful. And then we're going to do a little bit of standing balance. So I would recommend, unless you feel really balanced today, I would recommend getting a chair or setting up near a wall. In filming my last video, I found that I'm not very balanced today. So even though I am not pregnant, I want to use a chair regardless. So getting near your chair. So the great thing about standing balance is as our bellies get bigger, our balance gets off. You might feel like that you're constantly going to fall over, that you're constantly kind of just not feeling stable. So working on balance postures can help us feel balanced and help us feel grounded. And it is also really, really great foot strengthening too. And taking the balance out of it by using a chair or the wall does not negate the foot strengthening that you're doing. So strong feet are really, really good, especially for helping with balance. So we are going to start by coming into a nice stable position. So bring your feet as far apart as they need to be or close as they need to be for you to feel comfortable and stable and that you have equal weight distribution across your feet. So you might want to bring one hand onto your chair. Maybe you start by bringing both your hands down, or maybe you bring them to the heart center, your belly, whatever you want to do, wherever feels right in your body. And just feel grounded. Feel the ground underneath your feet. Feel your feet attached to the earth. And then we're going to come into tree. So you can start by bringing, one hand to your, to whatever you're using to keep your balance, if that's what you're using. And then we're slowly going to start bringing our weight into our right foot. And I have a couple of options here. You can turn it out your left knee, and then you can bring your heel to your ankle like I'm doing here. And this is your tree. You can bring the bottom of your foot to the inside of your calf, and this is your tree. If you have the space, you can bring, it's not gonna happen for me today. Pants are a little too slippery. You can bring your foot to the inside of your thigh. So wherever you're feeling it, and then you've got your balance thing. You can find your focal point or your drishti, which is about 4 or 5 feet in front of you. And again, if you're using something to kind of help with your balance, it is not compromising the foot strengthening that you are doing right now. And you can bring your arm up if you want to add some more space. You can find a focal point up the ceiling if you feel really balanced. And then maybe, if you're feeling okay, do sort of, play with your balance. I guess that's not working for me today. So you can pause this video and you can work on your balance as much as you want. And then when you're ready, we'll go on to the other side. So again, I flipped my chair over. Maybe you just turn your body or you go to another wall, whatever you got to do. If you are using a chair, just make sure you keep it on a place where it's not going to slide. So come here to your nice stable position. You keep your hands on your chair or whatever you're using. And then you still have your options. You can do your kickstand version on the left side. You can do your inside the calf or the thigh. And then you can bring your hand to your heart, you can bring your hand to your belly, you can bring your hand up to get that extra lengthening. You just see where you are. If you are feeling really nice and stable, you can lift up your arms. Whoop. Great. And when you're ready, I'm going to put my chair out of the way. We're going to come to the top of our mat. Keeping our feet nice and wide. We're going to come down into child's pose. So if you want, you can bring a blanket. You can place a blanket for your knees if you need it. Inhale, arms come up nice and tall. Exhale, forward fold. So now you might need to bring your hands to something. You might need to open up your feet a little bit to make way for your belly. Wherever you are. You need to bend your knees. And wherever you are, bend your knees. Bringing your hands, you can bring them to blocks, you can bring them to a bolster, and just slowly make your way down onto the mat. And we are going to come into child's pose. So there's a couple options that you can do this. You can bring the bottoms of your feet to touch, keeping your knees nice and wide to make space for your belly. If this feels comfortable, you can come to this variation of child's pose. If you feel like you need a little bit more and you have access to bolsters or pillow, you can bring the pillow underneath you. And you can rest your head on the pillow, leaving space for your belly. If you want something a little bit more restorative, bring your blocks under your bolster, wherever you're using, lift it up a little bit. And then you can bring your body down, hugging, leaving space for your belly. So whatever posture works for you, I encourage you to do it. Wherever you are, just come back to your mat, come back to your intention, come back to your breath. We're going to slowly walk our hands back up. If you have any props, you can move them out of the way. And we're going to do a little bit of, we're going to do a foot stretch, which is also a little bit of pain tolerance training. So to start, bring your hands in front of you, coming into tabletop. Tuck your toes and make sure, if you can, that all of your toes are nice and grounded. My pinky toes never feel grounded. But if you can, just try to make sure that they're nice and grounded. Now, you're slowly going to bring your hips to your heels, and you'll start to feel the stretch in your toes. And then slowly walk your hands up, and then bring your weight onto your toes. Now, this might feel okay now, but it is going to gradually start to feel more and more painful, much like a contraction. It's going to start out okay, and then it's going to peak, and then you can kind of taper it off. So we're just going to hang out here. If you feel like you have to come out of it, don't stay in it. This is not a contraction. You don't have to force yourself through it. So if you need to, you can always come out of it by taking the weight off. And I did this stretch in my other video, so my feet have kind of had it. But we are just gonna stay here just for a little bit, working on this. Some things that you can do is to focus on your breath. You can hum. You can kind of tap. Whatever you need to do. You can make different sounds. We're gonna just release. Untuck your toes and tap it out. we're going to make ourselves a nice little reclined yogi recliner. So if you want, you can do this. You can set yourself up in a bed or anywhere where you feel like you can kind of set yourself up so that you're a little bit on a recline. So you can use, you know, your bed. You can use blocks and a bolster if you have them. You can use a whole bunch of pillows. So whatever you have available to you, you don't have to go out and spend you're spending a bunch of money on baby stuff. So there's no reason for you to spend more money on props. But what you have in your house is going to kind of vary. So whatever you kind of need, whatever you have in your house, kind of get something like this. So something that is lifting you up a little bit so that you're not flat on your back. And then a blanket. Set my blanket up like this. Set your blanket up in front. And then get yourself situated so that your hips are at the top or at the bottom of the bolster or whatever that you're using, and then slowly start to come on down. And then from here you can bend your knees, you can put another bolster or blanket, or you can lift yourself up a little bit. So whatever you need to do to kind of make yourself feel comfortable in this posture. So from here, we're going to take figure 4. So take your right foot and cross it over your left knee. And then from here you can press it in. Using your right hand, you can press your knee away from you. And this will give you a stretch in this part of your hip. This may ease any sciatica that you've been dealing with. And then release. Windshield wiper your feet a little bit and your knees. And to the other side. So you can cross your left foot over your right leg just under your knee. Push your leg away. And then release. And come into a reclined Supta Baddha Konasana or reclined down angle. So bring the bottoms of your feet to touch. And your knees can come out towards the floor. If you need to, you can always put a blanket or blocks underneath your knees. You know, I have a lot of openness in my knees, so they come down quite a bit, but if your legs are tighter, then that's totally fine. You just might want something a little bit more supportive underneath your knees. You might need to adjust a little bit for your lower back. Hang out here, and in doing so, this also opens up your chest. It gives you a little bit of space through here, a little bit of space through your hips. And then if you're comfortable in this position, you can stay here for your final Shavasana, or you can come into whatever posture would feel comfortable for your final meditation. So maybe you want to bring your knees back up, and you can walk your feet out to the sides, and so your knees kind of fold in, and then you can have gravity work for you. If it's more comfortable for you to situate yourself on your bed, you can do that. So take a little bit of time to move yourself into a comfortable seated position for Shavasana. Your Shavasana is your final meditation. often done lying on your back, or traditionally done lying on your back in corpse pose, but lying on your back may not be comfortable at this point in your pregnancy. So just come into whatever posture feels comfortable. Maybe it is sitting up straight. But when you're ready, just start to close your eyes. Feel comfortable and safe. Come to your breath. Maybe you come back to your intention. Maybe use that intention as your focus point for the rest of your meditation. Or maybe you set a new one, a different one. Maybe you just focus on hearing your breath. Maybe you put one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. And know this moment, you have two hearts, at least two hearts, beating inside of you. Maybe you have more, and you're a parent of multiples, and you have 3 hearts or 4 hearts beating inside of you right now. And maybe, depending on how far along you're in your pregnancy, you can start to feel the gentle movements of your baby. The kicking and the stretching. And the feelings that sometimes are not so pleasant. But they're little reminders of that beautiful soul or multiple souls inside of you right now. If other thoughts come into your head, just acknowledge them. If any worries come into your head, just acknowledge them. And just say, I'm worried about this, and let it go. Just let it float away like a cloud. It's okay to be worried, and it's okay to have concerns. And don't let yourself get consumed by them. Acknowledge them. Acknowledge your thoughts. Acknowledge your emotions. Acknowledge the things that you're happy about, the things that you're worried about. Don't hide from them. And take a big, deep breath in through your nose. And sigh out your mouth. Do that one more time. Inhale. And sigh out nice and slow. And then when you're ready, your eyes closed, your gaze soft, you can start to make your way up to a comfortable seated position. Maybe by rolling on to one side and pausing there for a moment, letting your blood pressure adjust. Don't come up too quickly. Take it nice and slow. that comfortable position wherever it is. You can bring your hands to your heart to feel it beat and feel your chest rise and fall with your breath. And show yourself gratitude for your practice, for coming to your mat, or wherever you're doing your practice. And give thanks to your body for everything that it's doing for you right now, but also everything that it has done for you in the past and in the future. I bow my head in gratitude for letting me be a part of your journey. The light in me honors the light in you. Until next time, be well. Bye.